to win the Champions League was amazing. So I think also here in Barcelona, everyone also wants that, and we work hard for this. We work hard for this to make it happen. It will be not easy, but I promise that we will work hard.
For Barcelona, although they've had a good start to the season in terms of results, you could argue, and I don't think it's up for much argument, the defending's been much worse than last year. Now, we talked about this the other day. Martinez gone to Saudi Arabia. Martinez was an organiser. He was a voice. He shepherded the back four. Wasn't the quickest, wasn't the biggest, wasn't the strongest, but was certainly the most experienced.
The media didn't forgive Barcelona's high defensive line. And if you thought Mbappé was sitting at home hoping for a draw between Barca and PSG, you're wrong. He already picked a side, and the reasons are crystal clear. Today, we'll reveal Mbappé's delight and the media's reaction to Barcelona's defeat. Every player has to defend, attack, be sharp on the ball, explore spaces, get involved in possession. At PSG, you saw that everyone knows how to exploit space. Everyone wants the ball. These are things we need to learn and improve. Flick's analysis was backed up by the Opta numbers. Barca had less possession, 46.9% versus 53%. 1% fewer accurate passes, 361 versus 418, and ran more without the ball, which drained them and cost control. PSG recovered more balls, 55 versus 44, and made more interventions, 647 versus 614, dominating midfield through Vitinha, Fabian, and Zaire Emery, 18 recoveries compared to just 8 from Pedri, De Jong, and Olmo. Luis Enrique clearly outcoached his former club, ending Barca's nearly year-long streak of dominating possession at the Camp Nou. Craig and company are celebrating Barcelona's collapse, but they didn't hold back either. They ripped apart the Barca defense without mercy.
And the players that he's tried to bring in and to do that role, Eric Garcia's been there, Araujo, Christensen, Kubarsi, who was Martinez's partner last year, they're not really leaders of the back four in terms of squeezing up as a unit, and that's where they have the problem. It's been so many different personnel, but the same mistakes.
Yep.
And they're given, not just against the PSGs of this world, against some of the mediocre teams in La Liga that they've played. Those teams have carved out a lot of chances against this Barcelona side, and only because they have the firepower up front to overcome teams is why they have started the season the way they have, because defensively, once again, they've been very poor, and we saw it tonight.
And to your point, go back to this past weekend against Real Sociedad. Real Sociedad, who over the last year and a half, their one big-time difficulty is scoring goals, is creating chances. And they created opportunities, so much so that Take Kubo hits the crossbar late in the match. That would have been the difference between winning the game 2-1, as Barcelona did, or tying the game 2-2. That's Real Sociedad with all their difficulties. This is PSG. Even though they have these guys injured, they still have an element that really troubles Barcelona, and that is the element of speed and the element of timing your runs. And I mentioned Hakimi and how from a deeper position he can time his run, how Barcola just can flat out outrun people. And so what I don't understand from Barcelona's perspective and Hansi Flick's perspective is, look, you have your philosophy of playing with this high line. Okay, this is who you are. Fine. This is how we're going to live. Fine. But learn. Learn from the experiences of last year. Learn from playing against better opposition and how that better opposition actually exploited that high line. Learn that you need to have pressure on the ball. Learn that in the first goal, for example, I have no idea what Eric Garcia was. We focus on Jules Koundé being late, chasing back. We focus on Kubarsi and not being able to cut out the pass to Mayulu. But Eric Garcia, the other center back, was almost holding hands with Hansi Flick on the sidelines. How do you get yourself in such position in which you're nowhere to be found as a center back? And those are things that I'm singling out Eric Garcia in that specific circumstance. But these are things that are happening all too regular. The second goal, you have Pau Kubarsi, who's nowhere to be found. You have Alejandro Valde, who thinking that he's covering for Kubarsi. He talks all the way inside, and in doing that, leaves Hakimi, one of PSG most dangerous players, even if he is the right back, completely wide open. And guess what happens? So now Alejandro Valde is panicking. He's coming out wide. Kubarsi is still late, and nobody is chasing down the middle Gonzalo Ramos. It happens too much, too often for Barcelona, and it's something that by now should have been addressed. There should have been lessons from last season that should have been learned by this season, and it hasn't happened. They're going to continue to get exploited by better teams, better position, and teams that have speed in the attack.
A player like me, when I get 5 chances, should score 5 goals. Today, I scored 3. That's good, but I could have done more. I'll keep working to be sharper in front of goal. That's how Mbappé spoke to Movistar after Real Madrid tried to soften the humiliation of a 5-2 loss to Atletico Madrid by smashing the super-powerful Kairat Almaty 5-0 in the Champions League. Demanding as ever, but criticized for failing to deliver against Atletico, Mbappé made it clear the easy win over Kairat didn't heal the wound, it only gave him more confidence to chase revenge on Atleti. We can't forget what happened this weekend against Atletico Madrid. We have to work hard to make sure it doesn't happen again. But we cannot forget, he insisted. And if his obsession is Atletico, the ghost of Barcelona still haunts him. 4 straight defeats against the Catalans, unable to beat them, Mbappé can only watch from afar and even cheer PSG, who managed to beat the rival that torments him. After PSG's victory over Barcelona, Hakimi rushed to Instagram, posting an emotional series of photos with the caption, "Champions League night." Mbappé didn't miss the chance to reply, "You there, that's too much, huh?" For Mbappé, a 2-1 was too much. But what about the 5-2 thrashing he suffered in the Copa del Rey final against Barcelona? That answer, we're still waiting for. Curious, aren't you? PSG are a great team. They've already proved that, said Pedri, but I believe we're better. Meanwhile, Lamine Yamal posted on Instagram declaring he was back and on a mission. Vitinha responded after the game. That happens sometimes. We know there's always talk before games. It's normal. We don't care. We just wanted to play, we won, and we're happy. Gonzalo Ramos, who scored in the 90th minute, added, "It's an incredible night. We are champions of Europe. That's all I can say. If you're the best, you have to prove it on the pitch, not talk about it." Many saw those words as a direct response to both Lamine and Pedri. Thierry Henry believes Barcelona's heavy defeat to PSG in the Champions League came down to the depth of the Parisian squad. Speaking on CBS, Henry highlighted how crucial a strong bench is at the highest level. He said, "If you want to win, go far, and perform well in this competition, you need players who can give everything when they come on. Over the course of a season, you rely on your bench to get you out of trouble." That's why PSG signed Gonzalo Ramos. It was a significant investment. When a player comes in, he has to try to change the game.
This is why I think Arsenal this year have a lot of chance, big chances to win stuff because the bench would change the game for you.
French daily L'Équipe was blunt in its assessment of the match. Barcelona showed worrying defensive fragility against PSG. In the second half, the entire team collapsed. The paper also underlined that PSG became the first club ever to win 3 consecutive away matches against Barca in the Champions League, a historic record in Europe's top competition. The analysis also singled out several players. Íñigo Martínez's departure to Al Nassr was described as a real loss for Barcelona, recalling the solidity he had provided alongside Koubarsi last season. His absence, according to the outlet, left the young Catalan centre-back exposed, and he suffered enormously on his return from injury. Alongside him, Eric Garcia was hailed as the pleasant surprise of the season start, but L'Équipe stressed that his form was not enough to stop PSG after the break. The midfield also came under fire. Dani Olmo was described as a ghost on the pitch, lacking consistency, while Frenkie de Jong's performance was branded disappointing. Pedri wasn't heavily criticised but was noted to have looked very lonely at times. The tone was echoed by Le Parisien, which bluntly stated that Barca were in shock after being trampled by PSG. The paper amplified Flick's own words, as the coach admitted the gap in quality between the two sides. "We're not at PSG's level yet. They're the European champions. We can't forget that." The consensus between the two main Parisian outlets was clear. Barca's issues go beyond one bad performance and point to a deeper structural fragility. As L'Équipe put it, it gives the impression of a divided team. Further south, La Provence praised the authority of the reigning champions. PSG was solid early on and spectacular afterwards, showing exactly why they were crowned European champions. The paper also noted that despite Lamine Yamal's return, the team seemed to lack some spark throughout the game. Meanwhile, RMC Sport highlighted the merit of Luis Enrique's victory, achieved despite the absence of several key players.
Best day of my life. It's not easy, to be honest. But I think last season when we driving with the bus through Barcelona, it was amazing. Hopefully also today with the right titles, but again, it's not easy. We will do it. We'll give our best, and if it happen, I will be very happy.